Today we're talking about rate of change and constant rate of change. Today's the 8th. This goes on page 14 in your journal. Rate of change just tells how one quantity, which is an amount, changes in relation to another one. Okay? So like if one gets bigger, the other one gets bigger. If one gets smaller, the other one gets smaller. Or if one gets bigger, the other one gets smaller. It talks about how they change in relation to each other. Constant rate of change just means when the rate of change between any two quantities or amounts is the same. Constant, when it's a constant rate. It's usually written as a unit rate. So if we look at this example that we've cut out, the table shows the amount of money a booster club makes washing cars for a fundraiser. Use the information to find the constant rate of change in dollars per car. So what you can see is that they figured out how much this side went up every time, and it was the same. It was 40. And then they looked at the other side, and see how much it went up every time, or what the change was every time. And every time it went up how much?
40 plus 5.
This one went up 5. That's right. So our rate of change would be, can I simplify this at all?
Yes.
It would be what?
8.
8. 8 would be my rate of change. So if you notice, all I did is I made a fraction with 1 over the other, and then I simplified it however I needed to. So if these were coordinates, which one would be x and which one would be y?
X would be
numbers,
Y would be the money.
and y would be the money. So what I did, if I was going to look at this algebraically, is I put y over x. Didn't I?
Yes, ma'am.
Y over x. But I had to make sure that it changed the same amount every time. This side went up by 5 every time. This side went up by 40 every time. So if I worded this out a little bit more, the unit rate would be find the unit rate to determine the constant rate of change. Here's the unit rate, which would be 8 over 1 simplified. So the constant rate of change would be $8. The number of dollars earned increases by $8 for every car washed. Okay? You can also find constant rates of change by looking at if it's already graphed out for you. Again, do you remember what letters did I put in my fraction?
X and Y.
But which one went on top of my fraction?
Y.
Y. So I put y over x. So in this, I'm going to do the same thing. Y over x, which seems a little backwards to what we think usually. But if I do y over x, how much did it go up every time? 60? 60? 60. So it was 60. So I'm going to put 60 on the top. How much did it go over every time?
25.
Well, from dot to dot, you got to find a corner and a corner. So it went to 1. If you find a corner, it went to 1. So it would be 60 over 1. So the rate of change would be 60 miles in every 1 hour, which is true. So is this a constant rate of change? Yeah, because it's constant. It's always going to be, in this table, it's always going to be 60 miles for every hour that it goes. Time.